eventually you'll find stuff that checks the boxes. But you should live your life going after things that you're excited about.
Hi, my name's Devin. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice to fuel the entrepreneur in all of us. I'm going to talk about decision making. I meet with people all the time, a lot of when they have big decisions, right? And they'll be like, "Hey D, I want to run a couple things down." And I'm always know like, okay, they got a big decision to make, right? And I love that. Like, it's such an honor and such a privilege to be part of people's lives and walk them through it. And the other day I was having lunch with a dear friend of mine, and he was going through, he was talking about some property that he was going to buy. And then, we had this really long conversation, and, we started doing the whole, checkbox, like, the pros and the cons, right? Like, we start going through the whole checkbox, right? And at the end of the day, this checked all of the boxes, right? And I realized midway through the conversation that he wanted me to say, "Oh yeah, this is a great business decision. Like, you should do this." And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But what I told him is, I said, listen, this is one of those cool situations in your life where, like, yeah, it checks the boxes. I said, but it comes down to this. I said, are you excited about this? Like, because once it checks the boxes and, like, it will do, lots of things will do, right? Like, lots of things are like, okay, yeah, there's enough pros, and, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. Now it comes down, is that what you want to do? Like, right before we filmed this, we were talking about, my friend here, it talked about, he goes, I know what you're talking about, because I walked into this house and there was lots of reasons not to do it, but he goes, I could just see myself there. And that's what I was challenging my friend. I'm like, listen, is this something that, like, boom, like, you light up, you'd be excited to tell other people about, or you'd be like, oh, hey, I found a solution, right? Like, hey, I found a solution to our problem, versus like, wow, you're not going to believe the opportunity that I found, and this is going to be amazing, da, da, da. Because I'm like, anything, eventually you'll find stuff that checks the boxes. But you should live your life going after things that you're excited about, right? And there's plenty of times in our lives when we have to do things that are unexciting. But I'm talking about, if you have, right now, a great example is this. My son is a senior, and there's two schools that he really likes a lot. And both Cindy and I, we like him for him too. Like, we're really excited. I could see him at either one, right? Like, and so we did the whole thing, like, well, let's do the pros and cons of each one. And sure enough, like, if you did all the pros and all the cons of one school, you did all the pros and cons of the other school, they almost line up like, like absolute opposite, right? But identical, as many pros on this side as cons on that side. And, like, there's just no clear winner. So I told him, I said, hey, Nate, which one are you excited about? Which one gets you excited, right? Not which one do you want to say, like, oh, I'm going to such and such because it has my major and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, forget that. Like, which one gets you excited? And then he goes, well, I think that one. And he picked, option A. And I'm like, dude, that's it. That's the one. And he's like, really? He's like, and you can tell oftentimes we think this way, right? Like, we think like there has to just be, a mathematical answer, especially for those of you who are very pragmatic and logical, right? Like, well, it's not about emotion. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of times it's not about emotion, right? Like, if there's a pragmatic, this is the right answer, you take that right answer. But in those situations where literally there are as many pros as there are cons, and you have to make this decision or that decision, man, what a blessing and privilege it is to be able to go, you know what, I'm going to go with the one that's most exciting. And for me, that was hard in my life. Someone actually had to teach me this. That's why I'm teaching you guys this, because I was so pragmatic. Sometimes I wouldn't make decisions because I'm like waiting for this, mathematical, logical answer to tell me the outcome. And at the end of the day, my friend looked at me and goes, well, geez, which one do you want? Like, and I was like, which one gets you excited? Which one are you excited to do? Because, there's lots of opportunities that come along in business, right? Like, should I hire more salespeople here, or should I open up an office in another state, right? Like, both of them have pros and cons, right? Like, both of them are probably good, decent options. Which one are you excited to do, right? Like, hey, should I start this product line or that product line? Maybe they're both good, right? Well, which one can you get passionate about? Which one are you going to be excited to market? You know, a lot of times it comes down to what your passion is and what you're excited about when you have equal decisions. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying, right? Like, a lot of you people are going, oh yeah, he's just telling me to follow my heart. No, I'm not telling you to follow your heart, right? Like, I'm telling you to spend the time to think about it logically, to do the pros and cons, right? Like, do the math behind it, like, do it. But when you get there and you look at it and you go, well, option A is a very good answer and option B is a very good answer because I did all my pros and cons. At that point, I'd say, which one gets you excited? Again, I'm not telling you follow your heart, right? But I am telling you, when you have great options, at the end of the day, you should go with the one that excites you the most. I'm Devin, and this is the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast. And I know that this is a very short and simple lesson, but if you apply it, I know it'll help you in your decision making.